Oh, if I had Maggie in the woods, I would chop her all the wood I could. And if I had Maggie in the woods, I would keep her warm till the morning. On we go, we put heel and toe for toe, on and roll and roll up on mommy's wedding step. Spaghetti on we go, we put heel and toe for toe, on and roll and roll up on mommy's wedding. All the girls up and down, Myrtle Green and Bracken down, past the shielding through the town, on the Sycamore. Red cheeks as rolling star, brighter eyes than any star, fair as them up at bar is my downing heart.
Oh, right. So, I suppose I should start this Burns night off. Thank you to Haggis Rampant for piping us in. Willkommen! Bienvenue. Welcome to this, my friends, be you non-binary or cis. My lords and ladies, my lassies and lads, welcome to one of the world's oldest fads. We gather tonight on this day of days to sing songs, speak poems, and heap on the praise to the poet of Scotland, one who earns all respect and honour, dear Robert Burns. We've whiskey to drink and haggis to eat, and time enough to do all that is sweet. We friends aplenty and family, that's fine. We'll raise the cup to the days of Auld Lang Syne. Tonight is possible, for you are here. So let's raise our glasses with all good cheer. The digital Ren Faire gets the first toast. Let's thank them kindly for being our hosts. Next up to welcome and thank I do grok the Langers Ball, a duo doing Celtic rock. If music be the food of love, play on. Lady Prudence is here to sing a good song. Haggis Rampant is with us to play and to pipe. Their instrumentation will leave you no gripe. And I, your friendly neighbourhood Shakespeare, will be rounding out the night with poetry as your MC. But enough of all that, let's start the show. We have but 2 hours and the time will flow. To Burns and to each other we offer all praise. And now let's begin with his Selkirk grace. Some have meat and cannot eat, and some would eat that wants it. But we have meat and we can eat. Say, set the Lord be thanked. That was terrible and I apologize. And now, Haggis Rampant will pipe the haggis in.
Fair fa, ye honest sonsy face, great chieftain of the puddin' race. Aboon them all, ye take your place, pinch, time, or therm. Well, are you weary of a grace, as long as my arm? The groaning trenches there ye fill, your hoodie like some distant hill. Your pin wad helped mend a mill in time of need, while through your pores the dew distills like amber bead. His knife sees rustic labour dight, and cut you up with ready sight. Trenching your gushing entrails bright, like ony ditch. And then, what a glorious sight, warm, reeking, and rich. Then, horn for horn, they stretch and strive. Deal take the hindmost on the drive. till their wheel-swall kites berive and bent like drums. Then all good men must like to rive. Bethank it, Holmes. Is there at all at French ragout, or olio wad star a sou, or fricassee that make her spew? With perfect schooner, look down with sneer and scornful view on such a dinner. Ah, poor devil. See him o'er his trash, as feckless as a withered rash. His spindle shank, his gilt whiplash, his knave a nut. Though bloody flood or field to dash, oh, how unfit. But mark, the rustic haggis fed, trembling earth resound his tread, crap in his wheel, knave a blade, he'll make it whistle. And legs, and arms, and heads will sneed like taps of thistle. Ye powers, what make mankind care, and dish them out their bill of fare. Oh, Scotland wants nae skinking ware that lops and that jops in luggies. But if you wish her grateful prayer, aye, gie her a haggis.
To the haggis! Everyone, you're allowed to unmute the mic for that. Wait, welcome everyone. Oh my goodness, we have all of our entertainers. We have Haggis Rampant, who did such amazing and good piping. We have the Langers Ball, Michael, of whom that was an amazing ode to the haggis. Well done, sir. Well done.
Thank you. I wrote it myself.
And Lady Prudence, we're going to be hearing from you quite shortly as well. And Haggis Rampant, I really enjoyed the tour of your home, all of it. It was delightful. And there was a comment in there, I'm not quite sure if you saw it, of they feel that they are imagining that we are all just in an apartment complex with very understanding neighbors.
Yes, you would have to have understanding neighbors.
That's all part of the Scottish tradition, isn't it?
So now that we have had the presentation of the haggis, I have mine right here. I'm going to be eating shortly. What is everyone drinking before we begin the odes to drink?
Well, I've got a lovely sarsaparilla, so I might be celebrating a Scottish holiday, but my southern roots have got to play true.
All right, and that's also delicious. Love it.
I've got a pint of Guinness and some Glenmorangie, nice scotch.
Very nice. Hannah, what about you?
I've got a sparkling water.
Hey, that sounds well done.
She's
It's
dry.
normally what I drink,
I got
actually.
to drive tonight, so you know.
Oh, goodness gracious. For shame, for shame. Haggis Rampant, what are all of you drinking?
We're having a single malt night. I'm having a Bruichladdich Bear Barley 2010, which is quite lovely.
And I've got the Ardbeg Wee Beastie, which is only a 5-year-old Ardbeg, but it's still actually very tasty.
And Jillian was the Wee Beastie from India.
Our second CD was named Wee Beastie, so when they came out with that, we just knew we had to have it.
Well, they named it after her.
Oh, I mean, obviously.
And
Obviously.
I started with the Bruichladdich. I went to the Ardbeg, and I'm about to open the Glenmorangie 14-year-old. I've had it. It's good.
I see some
Lady Prudence was concerned.
Very, very nice. And I am drinking coffee. So,
I was
for I am
about to
always
say that's a lot more than I could have handled, but I am but one human here in my little room, so I'll stick to the sarsaparilla.
Steve was with Steve and Willie Nelson, so he can have twice as much.
Right.
Oh, yes. I'm not sure if anyone saw the comment in there. I wasn't able to get it up on screen earlier, but is the piping being done by Willie Nelson? I mean, that was one of my favorite comments I've seen. There we go. Is the piper Willie Nelson? My cat is obviously tugging on my internet cord right here. So, but oh goodness. So, Steve, are you actually Willie Nelson?
I'm his younger brother.
Oh, makes sense. Yeah, there we go. Well, let us begin our odes to alcohol, so to speak. So first up, I believe we have, goodness gracious, here's a bottle. So let's roll that beautiful beam footage.
Here's a Bottle by Robert Burns. There's nine that's blessed of humankind, but the cheerful and the gay man. Here's a bottle and an honest friend. What would you wish for, Marman? What kens before his life may end? What his share may be a care, man? Then catch the moments as they fly and use them as ye ought, man. Believe me, happiness is shy and comes not I when sought, man.
Scotch Drink, a poem from 1785. Give him strong drink until he wink, that's sinking in despair, and liquor good to fire his blood, that's pressed with grief and care. There let him bows and deep carouse with bumpers flowing o'er, till he forgets his loves or debts and minds his griefs no more. Solomon's Proverbs 31, 6 and 7. Let other poets raise a fracas about vines and wines and drunken Bacchus, and crabbit names and stories rack us and grate our lug. I sing the juice Scotch bear can make us in glass or jug. O thou my muse, guide old Scotch drink, whether through wimpling worms thou jink, or richly bram rame o'er the brink in glorious fame. Inspire me, till I lisp and wink to sing thy name. Let husky wheat the halves adorn, and eight set up their awny horn, and peas and beans at e'en or morn perfume the plain. Lees me on thee, John Barleycorn, thou king of grain. On thee, aft Scotland chows are cood, in supple scones the whale of food, or tumbling in the boiling flood with kale and beef. But when thou pours thy strong heart's blood, there thou shinest chief. Food fills the wame and keeps us leaving those life a gift no worth receiving. When heavy dragged with pine and grieving, but oiled by thee, the wheels of life gae downhill, screeving with rattling glee. Thou clears thy head a doited leer, thou cheers thy heart a drooping care, thou strings the nerves a labour sere, that's weary toil. Though even brighten dark despair with gloomy smile. Aft, clad in massy siller weed, with gentles thou erects thy head, yet humbly kind in time of need, the poor man's wine, his wheat druck parich or his bread thou kitchens fine. Thou art the life of public haunts, but thee, what were our fairs and rants? Even godly mittens of the saints, by thee inspired, when gaping they besiege the tents, are doubly fired. At merry night when we get the corn in, oh sweetly then thou reams the horn in, or reeking o'er a new year morning, in cog or bicker, and just a wee drop spiritual burning, and gusty sucker. When Vulcan gives his bellows breath, and plowmen gather with their graith, oh rare to see thee fizz and freeth is the lugget top. Then Bernowin comes on like death at every chap. Nay, mercy then, for Anne or steel, the brawny, baney ploughman chiel, brings hard ownership with sturdy wheel, the strong forehammer, till block and study ring and reel with dinsome clamour. When skirl and weenie see the light, thou makes the gossips clatter bright. Way worth the name. Nay, howdy gets a social night, or plaque fray them. When neighbours anger at a plea, and just as wood can be, how easy can the barley brie cement the quarrel? It's aye the cheapest lawyer's fee to taste the barrel. A lake that ere my muse has reason to white her countrymen with treason, but money daily weep the reason with liquor's nice, and hardly in a winter season ere spear her price. We worth that brandy burning trash, fell source of money and pain and brash, twins money a poor, doyle drunken hash o' half his days, and sends beside old Scotland's cash to her worst phase.
Ye Scots, well, wish old Scotland well. Ye chief, to you, I tell, poor plackless devils like myself, it sells you ill, with bitter dearthful wines to mill of foreign gill. May gravels round his blather wrench, and gouts torment him inch by inch. What twist his gruntle with a glunch, or sour disdain, out our a glass of whiskey punch with honest men. Oh, whiskey, soul of plays and pranks, accept a bardy graft of thanks. When wanting thee, what tuneless cranks are my poor verses? Thou comes, they rattle in her ranks at Ithares. Thee, Fernatosh, oh, sadly lost. Scotland lament for a coast to coast, now call it grips and barking host may kill us all, for loyal Forbes chartered boast is ta'en awa. They, cursed horse leeches of the excise, will mak the whiskey stells their prize. Hold up thy hand, Dale. Once, twice, thrice. There, seize the blinkers and bake them up in brum-stained pies for poor damned drinkers. Fortune, if thou but give me still hail breeks, a scone and whiskey gill, and wrath o' rhyme to rave at will, take out the rest, and dealt about as thy blind skill directs thee best. So what the hell did I just say? It was good though. You know it was good.
That was an ignominious and yet somehow appropriate.
It's what I do. It's what I do. Oh,
I'm
sweet,
waiting for that.
sweet dear baby Yoda. That song is Homerically long. That is. Oh my goodness! And Haggis Rampant.
When I asked you to do it, right?
What's that?
You know I was joking when I asked you to do that one, right?
I did not know. Actually. You can't read humor in a text message.
Well, Shakespeare never does anything unless he's got a good 4 dozen lines at least.
Really is true. I mean, and if I don't, I'll just add them. So there we go.
What, the famous wordsmith making up his own lines?
Yeah, it's kind of my thing. I'm not sure if any of you have seen my show. And if I only have a 25-minute time slot, I will just talk faster. That's just what I do.
You can talk even faster?
Oh, yeah. Haggis Rampant, you know this. Down at the Louisiana Renaissance Festival where we get to play together, it was said to me, Shakespeare, you're great, boy, but boy, you talk too fast.
That sounds about right, yeah.
It's like that line when Mozart was criticized for having too many notes.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness gracious. But we have so much more entertainment, and to do so much more to bring you good people at home. So I'd like to offer a quick toast right here.
A toast?
A toast.
To Robert Burns.
To Burns.
The second person to write incoherently, second only to me.
Not incoherent to us, laddie.
Oh goodness. But let's see. What do we have up next on the docket? We have a lot of good stuff. Lady Prudence, I believe you are going to be giving us a live recitation, not recorded, but live right here. Excellent,
not
very good.
Recorded at all. And so Susan Hill in the comments, she's been offering up her vocal coach, her accent coach.
Oh yeah.
So I think we're nailing it, guys.
We're nailing it, absolutely.
All right. So, but they said that I should go ahead and attempt my Scottish accent, and I did assure everyone that I've been rewatching Outlander, so that hopefully it'll be okay.
That's all the training you need. That and the 12th Doctor on Doctor Who. So
and Brave, one of my favorites of the Mouse movies. So I give you The Burns poem, A Red, Red Rose. Those of you who know me know very well what a romantic I am, and you shall see throughout the evening that all of my programming shall be, for the most part, love songs. So I shall begin with this lovely, lovely poem. Oh, my love's like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love's like the melody that's sweetly played in tune. As fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas gang dry. Till all the seas gang dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun. Oh, I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run. And fare thee well, my only love, and fare thee well a while. And I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 mile.
Oh, that was lovely. That was lovely, Lady Prue.
Yeah, I keep it short so my accent, you don't get a chance to hear it.
Oh, goodness. Susan Hill is giving you some props there on the accent. She says the rolled R's are a thing of beauty.
Thank you, thank you. I have been working my whole life. Do you know, I took German as my language. So, and I had to learn several ways to roll my R's. And so here's my quick anecdote. There's a town in Germany. You need to roll your R's in two different ways to pronounce it. It is Rorau. So you start roll in the back of the throat like a gargle. Rorau. Good Foley work.
I feel like only the orcs in Lord of the Rings can say that. All right. Yeah, I'm just calling it like I see it. I mean, seriously. Goodness gracious. Haggis Rampant, how drunk are you getting over there?
Not.
Are you kidding?
Not at all.
Drunk off of this much scotch? What kind of person
my
do you
first
think I
scotch.
am? Honestly.
Oh, for heaven's
Don't
sake.
insult
All right,
us.
hold it up to the camera so you can show everybody just how little scotch you're drinking. All right.
Hardly anything. There's that, but I mean, we've also got the whole bottle left. So
That's a mountain.
This is the
Now-
level you need to check.
Right. You don't need to laugh if you check the bottle.
Then there's me. I'm a cheap date. So.
Same though.
We know.
Oh, just wonderful. Oh, goodness gracious. So we have so much more poetry to get to. Poetry, music, all of the best. So we're going to start off with three pieces. The first one is Ye Jacobites from the Langers Ball. Then I, your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare, am going to take on A Winter's Night, which is a Burns piece actually about a Shakespearean play, King Lear. So I felt appropriate. And then A Whistle and I'll Come to Ye My Lad from Lady Prue. And so let's see what we've got for you here, people.
Oh, you Jacobites by name, lend an ear, lend an ear. You Jacobites by name, lend an ear. You Jacobites by name, your faults I will proclaim. Your doctrines I'm on blame, you shall hear, you shall hear. Your doctrines I'm on blame, you shall hear. What is right and what is wrong? By the law, what is right and what is wrong? By the law. What is right and what is wrong? The short sword and the line, the weak arm and the strong. For to draw, the weak arm and the strong. For to draw. You Jacobites by name, lend an ear, lend an ear. You Jacobites by name, lend an ear. You Jacobites by name, your faults I will proclaim. Your doctrines I'm on blame, you shall hear, you shall hear. Your doctrines I'm on blame, you shall hear. What makes heroic strife from afar, from far? What makes heroic strife from far? What makes heroic strive to whet the assassin's knife, or to hunt the parent's life with bloody war, with bloody war, to hunt the parent's life with bloody war? You Jacobites by name, lend an ear, lend an ear. You Jacobites by name, lend an ear. You Jacobites by name, your faults I will proclaim. Your doctrines I'm on blame. You shall hear, you shall hear. Your doctrines I'm on blame. You shall hear. Ha! Then let your schemes alone in the state, in the state. Let your schemes alone in the state. Then let your schemes alone adore the rising sun, and leave a man undone to his fate, to his fate. Leave a man undone to his fate. You Jacobites by name, lend an ear, lend an ear. You Jacobites by name, lend an ear. You Jacobites by name, your faults I will proclaim. Your doctrines I'm on blame. You shall hear, you shall hear. Your doctrines I'm on blame. You shall hear. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, you may know that Burns was a fan of Shakespeare. And it makes sense. I've been around a bit. But he loved the words. And so this next poem, A Winter Night, is based a bit on King Lear. At least it's inspired by it. A Winter Night. When biting boreas fail and dour, sharp shivers through the lifeless bower. When Phoebus gives a short-lived glower, far south the lift, dim darkening through the flaky shower, whirl and drift. And night the storm the steeples rocked, poor labour's sweet and sleep was locked, while Burns with snowy wreaths upchoked, wild eddying swirl, or through the mining outlet balked, down, headlong hurl. Listening, the doors and winnocks rattle. I thought me on the ory cattle, or silly sheep, what bide this brattle, oh winter war, and throw the drift deep layering sprattle beneath a scar. Ilk happening bird, wee helpless thing, that in the merry months of spring delighted me to hear thee sing. What comes of thee? Where wilt thou cower thy chittering wing and close thy eye? Even you on murdering errands toiled, lone from your savage homes exiled, the blood-stained roost and sheep coat spoiled. My heart forgets, while pitiless the tempest wild, sore on you baits. A Winter Night by Robert Burns. And you can kind of feel Lear howling at the wind in that moment.
Greetings, my friends. I am Lady Prudence, Her Majesty's Court Composer, dressed in my finest Scots attire. And I'm going to show this off for the camera. You may ooh and ah if you wish. Ooh. So this is the closest tartan that I could find on a pinch to my own familial line. This is the Black Watch. And so I shall play some of my favorite Burns pieces. The first that I've chosen is "Oh, Whistle, and I'll Come Tay, My Lad." So this is all about the love affair that young lovers might have with each other. And sometimes, though, if one's parents do not approve of one's match, then one might have to arrange a signal to share with your beloved so that no one else consents when you're having a palaver together. Oh, whistle, and I'll come take my lad. Oh, whistle, and I'll come take my lad. Though father and mother and all should get mad. Oh, whistle, and I'll come take my lad. But take great care when you come to court me, and come day the best of it can be a G. Say up the back silent, let anybody see. And come as you bear, not coming to me. And come as you bear, not coming to me. Oh, whistle, I'll come take my lad. Oh, whistle, I'll come take my lad. Though father and mother and all should get mad. Oh, whistle, and I'll come take my lad. And here got a bucket when you're leaving me. Can buy me a soul that you care not to flee. Don't feel me up, got my body bloody. Yeah, look as he wear, not looking to me. Yeah, look as he wear, not looking to me. Oh, whistle, I'll come take my lad. Oh, whistle, I'll come take my lad. Though father and mother and all should be mad. Oh, whistle, I'll come take my lad. I now protest that you care not for me, and whiles you may likely my beauty away. But court not another, though joking ye be, for fear that you wile your fancy from me. For fear that you wile your fancy from me. Oh, whistle, and I'll come take my lad. Oh, whistle, and I'll come take my lad. Though father and mother and all should be mad. Oh, whistle, and I'll come take my lad. Oh, whistle, and I'll come take my lad. Thank you, dear friends. Now, I'll be right back with a few more pieces, so don't go anywhere. There's much more to come.
Brava, brava.
Whistling is not my best thing, by the way. So if I'm whistling at you, you're worth it.
Ooh. Wait, let's have a toast break. Does anybody have a good toast to shout out right now? A good fast one.
I've got a good one for the times.
Do it.
I've drunk to your health in public. I've drunk to your health alone. I've drunk to your health so many times I've damn near ruined my own.
Slange. All right. Haggis Rampant, do you have a toast one of you wants to cry out?
What's the rating here?
Whatever you make of it, baby.
Oh, let's see.
I mean, I like the one about the birds, but it's definitely not a.
That's not a toast, is it?
Yes. Here's to the stork which brings the good babies. Here's to the raven which brings the bad babies, and here's to the swallow which brings no babies at all.
I'll drink to that.
All right. So, Pam, you are our resident Scots dialect expert. And so I have to ask you.
Only better than you.
It is Burns night. That was a sick burn.
That was you know what? That might have been a sick burn, but you know what? It wasn't as good as this burn for Burns night.
Oh, yes!
I'm so
Oh
impressed
my God.
someone made that happen.
Yes, that is our digital wizard Olivia on that. She made that happen. So much love and thanks to Olivia for that. Now, Pam, in Irish, in Irish Gaelic, you would say sláinte, and I know it's similar in Scots, but can you give us your preferred pronunciation for it?
Slanja.
Slanja. All right, there we go. All right, because I've also heard like slangava and like put a V in there.
Yeah, Slanjava. If you
Slangava.
which
Oh.
you put the MHA on the end, it's something else entirely. It just sort of is it's an additional. It makes it a little stronger.
Oh.
They say that in Outlander.
Yes, they do. And there's real Scots in Outlander as well. So.
Oh yes, there are.
Oh, yes, there are. I'll drink to that.
Let's just have a moment.
Cheers, Lady Prudence.
Since this is just turning into Harlequin romance now, I'm just going to leave it out. That's fine.
Oh, those thoughts.
Hannah or Michael, do either of you have a fun, quick toast to give?
Do you have a toast?
Not an appropriate one. Do you have a toast?
Gosh, no.
Did you hear Jillian's
I
toast?
forgot to think of one.
It was about birds. If you get stuck at any point, I have one.
Yeah, I kind of
All right.
stuck currently.
Kind of did. Would you like it?
Yes, give it to us right now, and I'm going to give you the main screen.
All right. Ha! Here's to the bull that roams in the wood and does the heifers so very much good. If it wasn't for him and his long red rod, there'd be no meat for us to eat, by God.
And there you go.
Right. Oh, goodness. And I'm just so glad that everyone who is joining us is enjoying this as well. Joe DeFilippo, I'm so very glad that you are also enjoying this. So well done. And Jeremy says, huzzah to Olivia for creating that wonderful Bernie meme. And Susan Hill giving us some information. She says, from the internet, people say, and I can't understand which if it's supposed to be a hard or soft G right there. So
Slangeva, I think.
Slangeva, so soft G. When they clink their glasses, but ask the average Scot for the Gaelic spelling, and you might receive 6 or 7 different answers. Goodness.
That tracks. That tracks.
And Chris wants to know, did Steve have too much to drink and pass out already?
He's
hanging out with Willie.
Had a work call. He's a very important man.
He's a very important man. Very good.
Well, he's the piper, of course.
Of course.
Right. Also the computer guy, and when computers go down,
he's the person.
Well, there we go. Well, now that we've had some toasts, let's get on with the burns of it all. And Pam's going to have some more sick burns coming up too. So we're going to kick things off with Hannah, who's going to be giving us lines written on a banknote. And we're going to be finishing up this particular sequence with Immortal Memory, presented by Michael. And there's going to be some bagpipe music in there. There's going to be a little bit of everything that you're loving about tonight. So stay with us. Here is Lines Written on a Banknote by Hannah from the Langers Ball.
Lines Written on a Banknote by Robert Burns. Woe worth thy power, thou cursed leaf, fell source of all me woe and grief. For lack of thee I've lost my lass, for lack of thee I scrimp my glass. I see the children of affliction, unaided through thy cursed restriction. I've seen the oppressor's cruel smile amid his hapless victim's spoil, and for thy potence vainly wished to crush the villain in the dust. For lack of thee I leave this much-loved shore, never perhaps to greet old Scotland more.
Thank you, dear friends. Now, I am Lady Prudence, Her Majesty's Court Composer, and my theme for tonight, as is always my theme, is the theme of love. So the next piece by Robert Burns that I shall sing is Green Grow the Rushes O. Now, before I do, I shall drink a toast to love. Sláinte. Sláinte. Bracing. All right. Now. among the seas. Green grow the ashes, green grow the ashes, sweetest hours that e'er I spend are spent among the seas. Thank you, my dear friends, and welcome back to Lady Prudence's venture into Robert Burns's greatest works, or at least the ones that I'm most familiar with. Now, this piece that I shall play is The White Cockade. So I shall start it upon the whistle, and then I shall attempt to smoothly transition to singing and guitar. So we shall see if that works out. That became Miss McLeod's ride at about halfway through. So seems I don't remember the whistle part very well, but I shall attempt to switch to guitar nonetheless. Oh, he's a ranting, roving lad, he is a brisk and a bonny lad, be tight but may I will be wed, and father the boy with the white cockade. My love was born in Aberdeen, a funniest lad that e'er was seen, but now he makes our heart go sad, he takes kindly.
Oh, good evening, and welcome back to our home. I hope you're enjoying the Burns night so far. You know, about 5 years ago, a friend of mine approached me and asked me to deliver the immortal memory speech at a Burns night supper we had been attending for many years. Our Burns night wasn't as traditional as many, and no one had ever given an immortal memory speech. And I had been attending for years and had never participated, so I didn't hesitate. I said, sure, what is the immortal memory speech? Well, then I looked it up online, and here's what I found. The immortal memory speech is a formal and personal tribute to Robert Burns from an invited speaker. Me, as it turned out. This tribute is normally lengthy and should be original. It requires much study and preparation beforehand. It should come from a place of knowledge and a deep well of understanding of Burns, his life, and his work. I was a little intimidated, to say the least. I should also mention, I had 5 days to research, write, and prepare this speech. Oh, wait, and there is more. Continuing on. It is typically the most formal part of the proceedings, and it can allow the speaker to introduce some humor. This is often advisable to lighten up what can be a lengthy and serious speech. We'll see if I'm successful there. Typically, an immortal memory speech will last about 20 to 25 minutes, sometimes more. Mine, likely, and by request, will not go that long. But tonight, I will revisit that speech with a number of updates and a few corrections. My pronunciation might be just as bad as it was back then, and I'm just going to own that. I shall do my best. So first off, I'd like to address first-timers directly and welcome them to what has become, for so many of us, an annual tradition we wouldn't miss for anything. You see all this pomp and circumstance, and I'm sure you're sitting there in front of your computer thinking one single thought. What is wrong with these people, and why did I buy a ticket for this event? For all you regulars, just pour yourself another drop of whiskey and hang back a moment. For many of us, whether we are Scottish or not, I am not, or whether we celebrate connections to Scotland, love of great poetry, music, and drink, this is all pretty typical stuff, really. But for those who are new among us, the lads are wearing what in your mind, though you dare not speak it, may look a little bit like skirts. We've spoken prose to a lump of meat and then attacked it with a blade. We will soon be going out of our way to insult the opposite sex and raise our glasses in agreement. The bagpipes were either rapturous to you, or they may feel like some sort of a medieval torture device. We've quoted some guy from Scotland who's been dead for a long time, and someone that you're probably not even quite sure of who he was or why we're here to remember him. Well, hopefully, this speech will enlighten you on this front, and of course, there is an awful lot of drinking going on. And when it boils down, we have gathered here to celebrate just one thing: poetry. So yeah, this is sort of an unlikely event to attend, but hey, here we are. So welcome to the Burns Supper. Now, about Robert Burns himself. He was born January 25th, 1759 in the village of Alloway, Scotland. That's near Ayr. His parents, simple tenant farmers, ensured that he received a good education and helped him become an avid reader. From the accounts that I have read, Burns had a pretty typical Scottish childhood for the time, although he may have gotten a bit more education than to be expected of a tenant farmer's son, and he excelled in school. Though it is worth saying the Victorians like to play this down, because it's so much more romantic to tell the story of a poor plowman writing such sublime poetry. When he was 16, the landlord of his family farm died, and the new lord was much crueler, placing heavy burdens on the family. You can see that Burns was already expressing himself in the written word when he writes about his experience in a letter to Dr. John Moore, a Scottish physician and travel author. Burns says, "My indignation yet boils at the recollection of the scoundrel tyrant's insolent threatening epistles, which he used to set us all in tears. This kind of life, the cheerless gloom of a hermit, with unceasing moil of a galley slave, brought me to my 16th year, a little before which period I committed the sin of rhyme." So here, in personal correspondence, he is expressing the frustration of life's indignation and finding peace in his poetry. But in the same letter, you capture some of the other interests of a 16-year-old Scot. He continues, "You know our country's custom of coupling a man and a woman together as partners in the labor of harvest? In my 15th autumn, my partner was a bewitching creature who just counted one autumn less. My scarcity of English denies me the power of doing her justice in that language. But you know the Scottish idiom. She was a bonny, sweet, and sonsy lass. In short, she altogether, unwittingly to herself, initiated me in certain delicious passion, which, in spite of acid disappointment, gin horse prudence, and bookworm philosophy, I hold to be the first of human joys, our dearest pleasure here below. And Burns wasn't just a lover. He was an enthusiastic, in the parlance of his time, wingman, you might say. He boasted of curiosity, zeal, and intrepid dexterity. He joined the country dance school at age 20, primarily to meet girls. At 21, he founded the Bachelors Club of Tarbolton with his younger brother Gilbert. Rule number 10 of the Bachelors Club of Tarbolton: every man proper for member of this society must be a professed lover of one or more of the female sex. The first rule of the Bachelor Club of Tarbolton was, of course, you do not talk about the Bachelors Club of Tarbolton. Now, it's true, Burns loved the lasses, and by all accounts, they loved him back. It seems back then it only took a poem to get them in the sack. As far as poets go, Burns is ranked among the top. Sometimes it is argued as to who is the best poet in the world ever, and it often comes down to two: Robert Burns and William Shakespeare. Hey, no offense, Shakespeare. I find the best way to compare these two authors is to find poems of similar topic and see how each author writes about it. I found one stance from both poets. They both wrote about Timbuktu. You see, Shakespeare wrote, "As I was walking across the sand, and what a day it was so grand. The sea was green, the sky was blue. I saw a ship sail to Timbuktu." Just lovely. And Burns, with a very different take, "As Tim and I a walking went, we spied 5 lassies near a tent. They be 5 and we be 2. I bucked 3 and Tim bucked 2. Yes, his fame across Scotland blew up after the release of his first published works of poetry at age 27. And he died young at the age of just 37, after a hard life with many ups and downs that took their toll on his health. Just 10 years. 10 years of work, and we are here today 225 years after his death, still honoring his decade of prose and poetry. How can this be? Well, I think the answer to why we celebrate Robert Burns lies in each of us. It may be because Robert Burns is all of us. We can see this evidence of that when we examine who he was through the words he left us, to which, with my Midwestern tongue, I will attempt to do some justice. You see, Burns was a critic of the ruling class and a champion of equality, as seen in A Man's a Man. "You see yon Burkie Caralord, what struts and strays and a that, though hundreds worship at his word, he's but a coof for a that. And for a that and a that, it's Riband Star and a that. The man of independent mind, he looks and laughs at a that. A king can make a belted knight, a marquis duke, and a that. But an honest man aboon his might good faith and mana for a that. For a that and a that. Their dignities and a that. The pith of sense, of pride of worth, are higher ranks than a that." He was by birth a farmer, an environmentalist, and an animal lover. You can see this in his ballad that he wrote to his beloved precious lamb in a poem called My Hoggie. "What will I do gin my hoggie die? My joy, my pride, my hoggie. My only beast I hanna may, and vow but I was voggy. The lee lang night we watched the ford, me and my faithful doggie. We heard knock but a roaring lin among the braes so scoggy. But the hout cry fray and the castle wall, the blitter fray the boggy. The toss replied upon the hill, I trembled from my hoggie. When day did daw and the cocks did craw, the morning it was foggy. An unco tyke lap o'er the dyke, and mice I killed my hoggie." Burns, although a failure in relationships, was a hopeless romantic, as revealed in his poem, A Red, Red Rose. "My love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. My love is like a melody that's sweetly played in tune. As fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I. And I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas gang dry." He also wrote about the weather, the freezing, miserable weather. Maybe this is why I relate to his work as a Midwesterner. So here is Winter, a dirge. The wintry west extends his blast, and hail and rain does blow, or the stormy north sends driving forth the blinding sleet and snow. Wind tumbling brown, the burns come down, the roars frae blank to bay, while bird and beast in cover rest, and past the heartless day. The sweeping blast, the skies o'ercast, the joyless winter day. Let others fear to me more dear than all the pride of May. The tempest howl, it soothes my soul, my grief it seems to join. The leafless trees, my fancy please, their fate resembles mine. Though power supreme, whose mighty scheme these woes of mine fulfill, here for my rest, they must be best because they are thy will. Then all I want, oh do thou grant me this one request of mine, since to enjoy thou dost deny, assist me to resign. He enjoyed his food, as we saw in the address to the Haggis, filled with such affectionate prose as, "Fair fa, ye honest sonty face, great chieftain of the puddin' race." And he wrote to whiskey in many poems, even an anthropomorphic description of the drink in his lengthy poem, John Barleycorn, from which I will only read a few short stanzas. John Barleycorn was a hero bold of noble enterprise, for if you do but taste his blood, 'twill make your courage rise. 'Twill make a man forget his woe, 'twill heighten all his joy, 'twill make the widow's heart to sing, though the tears were in her eye. Then let us toast John Barleycorn, each man a glass in hand, and may his great posterity ne'er fail in old Scotland. Robert Burns was very aware of his own mortality, as seen in The Prospect of Death. O thou unknowing, almighty cause of all my hopes and fear, in whose dread presence ere an hour, perhaps I must appear. Now, he didn't believe everything he read or was told. Yes, even in Scotland, even 225 years ago, they had fake news. You can see this in the first lines of his poem, Death and Dr. Hornbrook, a true story. Some books are lie frae end to end, some great lies were ne'er penned. Even ministers they have been kenned in holy rapture, arousing wid at times to vend and nail it with scripture. And I could go on, but because your glasses are getting dangerously low and many of you are armed with dirks and shindos, I will bring this poetic journey to an end. So why do we celebrate Robert Burns, a poor Scot from the late 1700s? It's because Burns, or at least some aspect of Burns, is in us. We can all look at Robert Burns and find something with which we identify. He is us. We can also look at Robert Burns and see a poor farmer from Alloway, Scotland, and see how he changed the world with his words and wit. We all can be inspired by that. So, lads and lassies, lift your glasses of whiskey, scotch, or beer. We celebrate the poems and prose of Burns, whom we hold dear. So be upstanding, raise your cup, without misgiving or concern. We are here tonight to celebrate the life and works of Mr. Robert Burns. To Robert Burns!
To Robert Burns!
Robert Burns.
The burning.
Michael, that was excellent. That was an excellent immortal memory.
Look at him! Shakespeare, look at Michael.
Oh my!
Michael had to step out for a while. I hear it's Bernie night, so I'm here. I'm sorry I'm late. I got here as the Greyhound bus would get me here.
It is indeed Burns night. Well done. Oh my gosh. Fantastic to have you here.
Yeah. With the AARP discount, the Greyhound bus took a while, but I'm here. It was the most economical way. So what's the spiel?
I feel like you probably traveled through all of the various and disparate states that we all are in to get that AARP discount on Greyhound.
Well, I did. I had to pose for a handful of pictures. Perhaps you've seen me on social media lately. I've been busy.
Yeah, you've been on all of our stages. It's been fantastic. Oh my God.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
You shows and I
Yeah.
You're gonna
So, so Bern,
I'm so happy.
what's your take on Robert Burns?
Who now? This was a celebration of me, right?
Yeah, that's
I'm not
absolutely
that
correct.
into. I'm not that into. You know, it's just a thing. It's whatever.
Yeah, I just need to point out how very unimpressed Hannah is right now. This is Hannah.
Hannah is 12% less impressed than she was yesterday when I did the same impression. The diminishing returns upon this impression are to be noted, and this may be the last time.
Well, that's a true and genuine thing.
My mittens are covered up. No, these mittens are famous. They're everywhere.
Oh goodness. Oh goodness gracious! It is so wonderful to see you, Bern. Now,
Well,
I have to ask everyone here though, what is your first introduction? Not to Bernie, but to Burns, Robert Burns. What's everyone's first introduction to him?
Oh, heaven.
I gotta go. I gotta vote.
Of course you do.
Vote early, vote often.
Vote often if you're in legislature, absolutely. Oh goodness. So what is everyone's first? Can we get this show back? I don't know.
Most of us are going to be Old Lang Syne.
Old Lang Syne. I agree with you on that. Yes.
Almost everyone, that has got to be their first introduction.
Even if you don't know who wrote it, because I know a lot of people know the song and they just have no idea that that's actually a Burns poem. It's like that time I went to a Foreigner concert and I'm like, I don't know who Foreigner is, and then every song I was like, oh, yeah, I know all of these. So it's a similar thing, I think.
It is the second most sung song in the world after the "Happy Birthday to You" song.
Oh, wow. The first version of Happy Birthday is the most sung version, not the Olive Garden version?
No, that's the third most sung version.
I thought it was the cheap one.
Yeah.
Either way, you know what? Now we know. Oh goodness. So, did anybody learn any Robert Burns in high school?
So my primary introduction to Burns was largely through music. So I was surprised looking through his complete works at how many titles of his songs that I recognized. So that's why you see me performing so many tunes in preparation for this evening, was that I kept saying, oh, I know that. Oh, I can sing that. Oh, so there was mostly my college choir where we sang the "Oh Whistle and I'll Come Tay" and "I Come In by Yon Town," which you're going to hear me sing, which I know a choral version of. I tried to sing it as a solo. I think it went great. But everything that I know of Burns came through music. So because he wrote so melodically, even on the page. So that's my story.
Yeah. Our digital wizard Olivia, she who's running all of this behind, she says that she read Burns' poetry in school while reading Of Mice and Men. So well done, Liv. And I actually did read the Mouse poem. Is it Ode to a Mouse? Yes. I remember reading that in high school as well.
When I was in high school and sang with Dulce Chorus, we did a version of Turtle Dove, which is a Burns poem, which I actually sang at a Burns supper as a toast to the lassie. It's a beautiful poem. It speaks very well of women.
Did you know it was Burns at the time?
I did not know it was Burns at the time, and I sang Old Lang Syne 1,000 times. Well, not 1,000. I guess about 40 or 50 times before I realized it was Burns, and I only figured out it was Burns through starting to play the bagpipes and getting into the Scottish heritage in the early 90s. Got my first kilt in the early 90s and started figuring out, oh wait, what is all this about Old Lang Syne and Burns suppers, et cetera, et cetera. So Pam and I hosted a couple of Burns suppers and figured out an awful lot about what Burns was about.
And of course, I was born in the early 90s, so I can't actually remember a time that I didn't know who Robert Burns was.
Right.
I did a studies project in high school on Robert Burns and about how he was also a tax collector. I think I actually called it, Robert Burns, Scotland's beloved tax collector, which is not something that you hear a lot.
No joke. Yeah, I first heard about Robert Burns. I was a precocious 20-year-old, and I inherited my grandfather's collection of the Harvard Classics, which is it is professed to be an entire liberal arts education in 5 feet of books, and one entire volume of that is all the works of Robert Burns. And so, being precocious as I was, I thought, well, I'm just going to read this, which I didn't get anywhere close to finishing. But then shortly thereafter, we were invited to a friend's Burns supper, and we've been going every year since, and just love it. I've got several friends that have released Robert Burns CDs of all of Burns's music, and I adore it.
Yeah, and I knew the name, but I wasn't really that familiar, except Auld Lang Syne, as everybody knows. And I think just being in with the Irish music community, I think I just kind of faked it until I actually knew what was going on. So I don't have like a moment, but yeah.
That's kind of how we all do, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in that case, let us now go into almost everybody's first introduction to Robert Burns with one of the most beautiful renditions of Auld Lang Syne that you are like to hear in this life or any other, as performed by our very own Lady Prudence.
Greetings, my friends. It is I, Lady Prudence, Her Majesty's Court Composer, and I take one final drink to your health, or at least for tonight. I am certain I shall drink many more times in the future. So here is to your health, Sláinte. And my dear friends, my final song for tonight, as is always appropriate, is the Robert Burns classic, Auld Lang Syne. So I shall sing it for you with 2 different melodies, because I do love a challenge. So wish me luck, take a drink, and I wish a health to each and every one of you. And for Auld Lang Syne, my Joe, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet, for the days of Auld Lang Syne. Should old acquaintance be forgot, and the days of Auld Lang Syne, should old acquaintance be forgot, and days of Auld Lang Syne, Auld Lang Syne, my dear, Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet, for the days of Auld Lang Syne. And surely you'll be your pint stop, and surely you'll be mine, and we'll have a cup of kindness yet, for Auld Lang Syne, and for Auld Lang Syne, my Joe,
In 1785, Robert Burns was plowing a field when he accidentally plowed up a mouse's home. He was just able to stop a boy driving the horses from killing the mouse. He was inspired by this incident to write a conciliatory poem to his fellow mortal, the mouse. I'm going to read Robert Burns to a mouse. We sleeket, cowrin, timorous beastie. Oh, what a panic's in thy breastie. Thou need not start a was a hasty with bicker and brattle. I would laithe to ren and chase thee with murder and pattle. I'm truly sorry man's dominion has broken nature's social union and justifies that ill opinion which makes thee startle at me, thy poor earth-born companion and fellow mortal. I doubt na, whiles, but thou may thieve. What then, poor beastie, thou maun leave. A dayman I could in a thrive. Small request. I'll get a blessing with the lave and never miss it. Thy wee bit hussy, too, in ruin. Its silly walls the winds are strewing, and Nathan know too big a new one, o foliage green, and bleak December's winds ensuing, baith snell and keen. Thou saw the fields lay bare and wast, and weary winter coming fast, and cozy here beneath the blast thou thought to dwell, till crash the cruel coulter passed out through thy cell. That wee bit heap o' leaves and stibble has cost thee money a weary nibble. Now thou's turned out, and for thy trouble, but house or hold, to thole the winter's sleety dribble, and cranrit cold. But Moosie, thou art no thy lane. Improving foresight may be vain. The best laid schemes of mice and men gang after glee, and leave us naught but grief and pain for promised joy. Still, thou art blessed compared with me. The present only touches thee, but I backward cast my ee on prospects drear, and forward, though I cannot see, I guess and fear.
There was a lad was born in Kyle, but what in a day or what in a style. I doubt it's hardly worth the while to be so nice with Robin. Robin was a roving boy, ranting, roving, ranting, roving. Robin was a roving boy, ranting, roving, Robin. Our monarch's inmost year betime was 25 days began. And a blasted January wind blew Hansel in on Robin. Robin was a roving boy, ranting, roving, ranting, roving. Robin was a roving boy, ranting, roving, Robin. The gossip keep in his loof, 'cause she will lives to see the proof. Swally boy will be neck hoof, I think we'll call him Robin. Robin was a roving boy, ranting, roving, ranting, roving. Robin was a roving boy, ranting, roving, Robin. He'll hae misfortune great and small, but I a heart aboon them all. Be a credit to us all, will I be proud of Robin. Robin was a roving boy, ranting, roving, ranting, roving. Robin was a roving boy, ranting, roving, Robin. Robin was a roving boy, ranting, roving, ranting, roving. Robin was a roving boy, ranting, roving, Robin. But Sure as 3 times 3 mak 9, I see by ilka scoring line. The chap will daily like our kind, so leaves me on the Robin. Robin was a roving boy, rantin' roving, rantin' roving. Robin was a roving boy, a rantin' roving Robin. Give faith, quoth she, I doubt you God, your bonny lasses lie aspan. 20 bouts ye may hae roar, some lessons on the Robin. Robin was a roving boy, rantin' roving, rantin' roving. Robin was a roving boy, a rantin' roving Robin. Robin was a roving boy, rantin' roving, rantin' roving. Robin was a roving boy, a rantin' roving Robin.
Thank you, my sweet friends, and greetings all. It is I again, Lady Prudence, Her Majesty's Court Composer, bringing you more of the classics by one Robert Burns. Now, this next tune is called I'll I Come In by Yon Town. Now, if you heard me sing Oh Whistle and I'll Come to You, this is the other side of that story. I'll I come in by yon town and by yon garden green again. I'll I come in by yon town and see my bonny Jean again. There's none shall get none guess what brings me back again. She will get sweet alas, slowly this will meet again. I'll I come in by yon town, by yon garden green again. I'll I come in by yon town, see my bonny Jean again. She'll want me winter sometime from here again. And lovely for I see all these she's lovely dear again. I like coming by yon town, by yon garden green again. I like coming by yon town, see my bonny Jean again. I like coming by yon town, by yon garden green again. I like coming by yon town, see my bonny Jean again. Hooray, hooray! It's always nice when a story can end with two lovers coming together.
Oh, well done, all of you. I mean, just you're all beyond brilliant. And Pam, that was a new poem for you, and you killed it. You killed it. I loved it.
It was beautiful, and I loved it. I recalled reading Of Mice and Men as well. So back in the day, so getting to hear that and bringing those memories back, you did a marvelous reading.
Yes, just
that poem I used in my original Immortal Memory speech to talk about his love of animals, and I knew you were doing it, so it sent me on another mission to find another one. And there's so many, but you did it brilliantly. Thank you.
So you wrote your Immortal Memory speech twice.
Well, yes, I recycled it for the virtual evening. Let's just say.
Oh, well done. And you're all just beyond brilliant. I mean, Langer's that Rowland song, that was just beautiful.
That was fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you. I love that song. A friend of ours, an acquaintance of ours, Hugh Morrison, is an accordion player down in Texas, and he released a Robert Burns Rocks album of all Celtic rock versions of Robert Burns songs, and that's sort of that's the version that we learned that off of. I love that album, and he's a great player. So
just absolutely brilliant. I mean, you are all a delight, and it's such a pleasure to be able to share this digital stage with you all. But now we're heading into the back portion of this, which is more toasts. So
toast.
A toast. I know, and just about toast. So, all right.
Jam or marmalade?
Marmalade. Lady marmalade. Creole lady marmalade. But here's a quick stupid one if you'd like it.
Yes.
All right.
I love
Yes.
your toast.
This one isn't written by me. I'm just appropriating it. All right. To all of you, I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve.
cheers.
Yes.
Cheers.
Yes.
Drink to that. I mean, like,
When Steve was gone to go help with computer tech work, I thought of a toast, and that is to men, to women, and to computers. We don't fully appreciate them until they go down on us.
Oh.
That is a toast worthy of Chase Treasure's
I
sweet
will
baby
post
Yoda.
it all sitting in between my parents. Yes.
oh,
I
sweet.
did create a toast once to a kilt because I wanted to segue into the song about the kilt, the Blue Ribbon song.
Mhm.
So here's to the kilt.
Yes,
It shows your well, I'm making it up as I go at this point. So it's all right when it's cold, great when it's hot, makes you wonder what's under there and what is not.
Wow.
Well done. Well, it is time that we get into a wonderful portion of the Burns Night, which is the toast to the lassies and then the lassies rebuttal. And Gillian from Haggis Rampant and myself have taken on these two parts. And so, well, roll that beautiful bean footage.
Lassies, lads, and all non-binary friends. I think I have an impossible task. 'Tis tradition to toast the fair lassies, as we are here to feast to Bobby Burns. Can I call him Bobby? I think I will. Because though this night is to honour him, Burnsy didna stand on ceremony. He'd take the mickey out of one and all, be you the great in good or country folk. Bobby knew how to rip you a new one, exactly like a good lassie can do. Which is the main thrust, you see, of my theme. So Bobby, he will be to me and all. Not really that important in the end. So why, Shakes, is this task impossible, I hear you asking, across time and space? Just praise Bobby and toast the lassies! This is easier said than done, I think. You see, I know this is hard to believe. As I'm your friendly neighbourhood Shakespeare, and as such, professionally English, the only bits with Scotland that I wrote were for the most part in the Scottish play. Mackers and his more brilliant lady wife. Now she is a lass who one could toast. Ambitious, powerful, suffered no fools. Maybe a crazy ginger through and through. She's a woman who you immortalize. We know that Bobby was a feminist. The rights of women merit some attention, quoth he. He was right in that assessment. Compared with men, no, strike that. That was wrong. There's no comparison. Men with women? We're lucky just to walk on the same earth. We are most fortunate that they allow us to pretend that we know what we're doing. The fact that we breathe the same air as they, that's a miracle in and of itself. Assuming for the sake of argument that there's a binary choice to be had, and please, no offense is meant by that term, let's take a moment. Be awed by women. The women, the lassies in all our lives. They're the infinitely improbable. The ones who make the magic possible. The lassies bring life into existence, coaxing the dreams to become incarnate, raising the bairns, teaching the wee little ones, drinking their exotic cocktails on Zoom, running game nights, prom nights, date nights. This night, the women, the lassies, let's look to them, for they will guide us to a bold future that shines brighter than any time before, because they're lassies. They don't need no lads. We lads are here because of their good grace. They do all we do, backwards and in heels. I mean, look at us. Look at us. We're weird. What's with the easy to hurt dangly bits? The lassies know just where to get us good. But so often they refrain from that blow. They can kill us with kindness, yet refrain. By their sufferance, we are here today. We thank the lassies for preparing this great, good, wonderful Burns night supper. But I thank my maker, whoever it be, for creating me such as I am here. So this is iambic pentameter. All of it. Each and every syllable. Why? For I'm Shakespeare. I need no reason. I'm a silly man. No sensible lass. So now, let's raise our toast to the lassies!
When I offered to do the lassie's reply, I didn't expect to have to respond to yet another great poet. And after all those lovely words, I almost feel bad poking a little bit of fun. Almost. We both know that Shakespeare and Burns wrote lovely things about women. For example, it was Shakespeare who said, 2 women placed together makes cold weather, and the tongues of mocking wenches are as keen as is the razor's edge invisible. And also, ah me, how weak a thing the heart of woman is. And then we have dear old Rabbie Burns who wrote, Weel you are worthy o' grace as lang's my arm, which is about a haggis. Or, Still thou art blessed compared to me, which is about a mouse. I can think of no better man than Shakespeare to toast the ladies, using the lovely words of the man we're all here to celebrate. In all seriousness, though, both of these men wrote beautiful things about love and women. There is no doubt especially that Burns was a great lover of women. We know this from both his history and from how hard it was for me to find a quote of his that I could actually spin to be disparaging. How could I get a joke out of, but to see her was to love her, love but her, and love forever. The relationships between men and women are constantly evolving, but somehow, through it all, we remain steadfast partners, both in friendship and in love. So ladies, I ask that we raise our glasses to the laddies in our lives. Till all the seas gang dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun, I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run. To the laddies.
So, well done, Gillian. That was brilliant and beautiful. And now it is time for our votes of thanks. So, dear friends, companions, I say to you that The night's end is near. The curtain soon will fall. So there's not left to say but thank you, one and all. Thank you to those who made this night happen. DRF, Langer's Ball, let me know where and when. Lady Prudence, Haggis Rampant, you're all the best. Performing with you is a memory I'll keep close to my vest. To those of you who joined us this cold night, from places near and far, we didn't have to fight the traffic or any other woes. Since we're on Zoom, you can have cozy socks on your toes. I do. From me to you, I say upon constant reflection, I love you, you love me. There is mutual glorious affection. Thank you for your patronage. We do this for you. And now, one final song I hope you'll join in to.
Adieu, a heart-warm fond adieu. Dear brothers of the mystic tide, ye favored and light and few, companions of my social joy, though I tore and must hide, pursuing fortune's fleeting bound, with melting hearts and brimful eyes, I'll find you still, though far away. I'll tavern at your social band, and spend the cheerful festive night, all upon with supreme command, presiding o'er the sons of light, by the tide of living right, which none but craftsmen ever saw. Stronger than beyond my heart shall rise those happy scenes when far from, may freedom, harmony, and love unite in the grand design beneath your youngish child love. The glorious architect divine, that you may keep the living light to rise by the longest fall, till order bright completely shine, shall be my prayer when far from, and you farewell whose merits claim. Just see that my dispatch wear. Heaven bless your honored noble name. To masonry and soldier dear, a last request may be here when we assemble. One round I ask you to with us here, to him the part that's far apart. Adieu, a heart more fond adieu. Dear brothers of the mystic tide, ye favored and light and few, companions of my social joy, I to form and must hide, pursuing fortune's glittering eye. With melting heart and grateful eye.